when the teeth of the chain is not evenly grinded or sanded down or filed down, okay, this is what happens. Let's say you do 2 on one side, 4 on the other side, or not the right pressure. This is what happens. Rather than going straight down, like what happened over here, a straight line, okay, it's actually curving off to one side. Usually it curves off to the right. All right, it could curve off to either side. Doesn't mean that you're right or left-handed, and does not mean that you're putting pressure on it. So this is what happens when you file on the not the same number on both sides. I went through this log inside of seconds with a brand new chain. Now I want to show you something. Okay, that's what it looks like with a new chain. That's what it looks like with a Sharpen chain. All right, so you know, you got maybe that's sharpened the wrong way. So with a new chain, you want to go ahead and get yourself a kit. There's different kits, and you can learn how to sharpen your chain and keep it like new all the time. Take a look at this, guys. All with the brand new blade, or chain I should say. All right, perfect cut, straight down, no angles. And I'm going to show you just how I did this, and as far as sharpening the blade, a brand new blade, and make it a habit to do so, and it'll act like a brand new blade from for the life. Keep saying blade, it's a chain. So it'll be like a brand new chain for the life of the chain until it actually falls apart. Hey everybody, the humming you hear is the fan in back of me because it's so humid today. I want to show you just how to really sharpen a brand new chain. It's better to start with new because your old one, you might be sharpening it the wrong way. Number one, never use a Dremel tool, because the rotations, you cannot tell how many each time a rotation is happening, and besides that, it gets too hot, and you'll throw your cut off on the angle that I showed you in another part of the video. All right, number one, you want to tighten your chain, and you want to tighten it to where you can't see the teeth coming out of the bar itself. So have it tight that way. It should move relatively free. Okay. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you on my digital microscope the lines that are on these. It's kind of tough to see because I have used this for a while, but you can still see the lines on each one of them. And you want to cut, when you file, you go parallel to that line, means along the same line. All right, and it's actually very handy to have those. Some guys out there on YouTube and myself, there's a tool that we use to go over it, and that's just a pain in the rear when you're out on the field. When you're in the forest, you don't have time to mess with this tool, that tool. You bring your good old file and your good old tool to tighten stuff, and the file you want to make sure is the same, is the right diameter for fitting inside that thing. All right, so I'm going to break out the digital microscope now. I'm going to get real close to that. All right, this is using my my digital microscope. I'm going to take a real close look at the line. That's where the line is, okay, and it's got to be parallel with the edge where the file is. All right, so parallel means running side by side, so I'm focusing in real good. All right, but that's the line I'm talking about, so you don't need the other tool to actually lay on top. So when you're in the field or out in the forest or somebody's house doing this, you don't need to drag a bunch of tools around. Don't let it go up against the other end of the file, which is right there. All right, so gotta pay attention that you're pressing up against that side when you're doing the grinding. Now this is the file that's set in spot as I get a good look at this. All right, trying to show you actually where it's going to. It's upside down right now, so you gotta switch it around. All right, so that's how it sits in there up against that side. And what you want to do is press up against it while you file. I'm going to attempt to swipe it 3 times here. So should happen here shortly. There we go. I'm doing it. This is overlay audio, so you're going to press up against it and do one swipe and lift up. Another swipe, lift up, and another swipe. Never pull the file back through it. Never pull. And what you want to see after that is a shine right on the blade. So this is the shine where you just sanded, and it's underneath the other the other part. That's the lower part, and looking at the other part is going to be fouled too, which is on the right hand side where the actual blade is. All right, so what I'm doing is filing some other areas. All right, so that should be it. I'm trying to get too close to that blade part. Okay, right up on top. On the left side, right up there, that's the blade. And I'm trying to show you where it filed. So when you file, you kind of have to lift up and to, that's where my nail is. That's how good this microscope is. So you can see where it hit and where it filed. Never before seen like this on YouTube. Pretty cool, I think, getting that close. But a nice shine on the bottom there. And what you want to try and do is get a shine all that's shiny underneath, so the blade got it. You can see the reflection a little bit up there. All right, but that's your target. That's what you want to do. So now that I have one of them sharpened, is right there. This is obviously cold. I'm touching with my fingers. So real close to me, and then what I'm going to do is go my next one. When this comes around over this way, because I'm pulling this way, you got to be careful that's sharp. But as we see the next one come up, it's going to be the shiny one. So I'm taking this, 1, 2, 3, and move it up, 1, 2, 3, and we keep doing that. Okay, there's my starter one is right next to me. Now what you want to do is switch hands. So switch hands and start on the next one, and you're going in the same direction. I know we're coming up to the end. And there it is. Okay, so they're all nice and shiny. Nice and shiny in there. And that's what you want to do after you do about maybe three or four oak logs and probably 2 pewter logs. All right, pine, when you're doing pine though, I mean, you could do a large section before you're sharpening in because it's such a soft piece of wood. Okay, so the one thing that you need to make sure of, this is a gauge that you put in here, and there's a tooth. The tooth that's right opposite of the blade itself. And you take this, go across, and if you hit it, if you bind up on it, you have to sand it down. Be careful you don't hit this. You take this out, and you just sand it down. Put this back in, you rub it, it still hits, you gotta sand it. Now once a day, or if you use this, let's say once a season or whatever, what you want to do is get some of this lubricant oil for your bar, because your bar does need, the gear up here needs some lubricant. So you can just put that in there, push down, and it lubes. It actually came out over here. So it lubed it up pretty good. What I do is take my hand and rotate this around so it actually gets in the gears before I actually start it up. I had to sharpen it 3 more times because of this all oak, and that's inside of about an hour of work. Now, first of all, have all your protective gear on. Okay, it's so important to do that, and so many times I see people not doing this, and you take a really good risk of losing your hearing, getting something in your eyes, and of course you're not going to chop. It's not going to prevent you from chopping off your fingers if you mess up. Okay, so there's some really important to do that. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to cut these since I sharpened this in the last video that I showed you. Okay, just to prove that sharpening them and keeping them sharp will just slide through them relatively easy. These are all oak. Even though it's thinner than these other things, it's just a simpler way and faster way to do it for YouTube. too shabby. Of course, the thicker one takes a little bit more time, more maneuverability, but not too bad. So hopefully you liked the video. Okay, keeping the chains sharpened and evenly sharp makes a nice clean cut, not on an angle. And when you go to chop it, it sits on that end, and it's really easy to do. Hey, subscribe if you like the video. Hey, let me know if I'm doing something wrong too. Just leave a comment. Take care. Bye.